Here's the idea. Pay attention very, very carefully. It is simple, but it might take you a moment to understand how to use it and how to apply it. But when you do, or are you going to take off like a rocket? Oh, all right, you're going to take off like a hyperdrive spaceship. Now, creation is nothing but abundance. In, let's just put it colloquially, creation's infinite wisdom, you were created with exactly what you need to create more of whatever you need. Let's go over that one more time. When you find yourself standing in a room, outside, wherever it may be, and you feel, let's just say, oh, destitute, if that is how you feel. Let's just take that example. Nothing like extreme. To get your attention. You must understand the first part of this principle, very important in this paradox, in this power, is you still have at that moment every single thing you need. Every single thing you need. I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to give you an example that is a metaphor in a sense, but realistic. Let us say you fancy yourself an artist. Now you're standing there. You have nothing. You think. What does it take to begin? What does it take to begin to be an artist? To draw something? Well, you say, well, I can't pay for the fancy paints. I can't pay for the fancy pens. I can just barely afford a pencil. Well, I know this is going to sound strange, but you know, people on your planet, when they didn't have fancy paints, when they didn't have fancy pens, when they didn't have pencils, used sticks. And they burnt the sticks to create charcoal, and they drew on cave walls. Some of the most beautiful art, you still think so today. Those cave paintings are extremely sophisticated, very beautiful, and compare with almost anything in any of your museums. And you know this. The point is they knew they had what they needed at hand. This is something you have forgotten because you have been surrounded with the idea that in order to be who you are, the only way you can do that is to have the fancy things. This is a notion I would urge you to get over now. Right now. It doesn't serve you. You don't need the fancy things. Don't be disappointed. We're getting to the point where you can have all the fancy things. But you must understand this is a two-part principle. It's a two-part principle. And it goes something like this. I'll just give you the formula right now. And you'll catch on, but we'll go over it again. Are you paying attention? Are you sure? Doesn't sound like all of you are.
Yes!
Okay. You convinced me. All right, here it is. Here's the formula. Let this sink in. When you learn to do more with less, you will be able to do less to get more. One more time. Pay attention. It's very powerful. When you learn to do more with less, you will be able to do less and create more. And after all, isn't that the idea behind what you call entrepreneurial spirit and being truly abundant? That you don't actually really have to do that much, that you don't really have to work that hard to bring in truckloads of money? Isn't that the idea? But how do you get to that point of not needing to do so much and yet bringing in so much? The way you get to the point of not having to do so much to make so much is finally learning to begin the process by learning to do more with less. That is the training that your consciousness needs to understand. When you accept, when you allow it to be all right, as an artist, to go back to our illustration, when you allow it to be all right to know that you can still be an artist in every sense of that concept, not lacking a thing from that concept, of its expression, of its heart, when you know you can be an artist with a stick, then you will understand how to do very little to bring to you any other tool of the artist that is possible for the artist to have to be able to express yourself on any other level you want. Remember, this is based on the idea that the greatest power, the greatest expression of power requires the most delicate touch. When you feel powerless, you attempt to move things around a lot to get them to work. You think you have to exert a lot of pressure. You think you have to exert a lot of force to make something happen. But if you stop and think about it, think about the power of creation itself. When you really are powerful, then all it takes is the slightest nudge of your little finger to move mountains. Because you are that powerful. And when you are that powerful, you don't have to exert yourself. That's the point. So when you know how to let it be all right to do what you need to do with what you have, that you can do more with less, you will empower yourself and enrich yourself and energize yourself to such a degree that the cycle will be completed. The circuit will be closed. You will use both sides of the paradox, and you will begin to see that as you become more powerful, you will need to use less of the power to accomplish more. But you've got to start by opening the gates of your imagination and by allowing yourself to understand that you, just as you are right now, without anything, you can accomplish what you really need to accomplish for yourself in some fashion. And you need to stop measuring the idea and comparing and contrasting and conflicting the idea that just because all you're capable of doing is making a picture with a burnt stick, that somehow that means you are not the artist you want to be. You've got to stop that now. Or none of this and anything else we're going to say will make any sense. Do you understand that? It's all based on this formula, on this principle, and that's it. That is the secret to money. The secret to money. When you know that you can do more with less, you will require less to do more. You need to train yourself to understand this. You need to train yourself to live this way. You need to train yourself to remember this so that it is your first thought. Not your second or your third or your last, your first thought. It is your priority. It is your job. It is your duty to yourself to understand how much access you have to everything, and that access requires almost nothing. Nothing. All you have to do is be willing to stretch and expand your definition of what it is you are and allow what you are capable of doing to be part of that definition instead of excluding it and saying, oh no, people who draw with burnt sticks are not artists. They're not the artist I want to be. Yes, it is. In every way. In every way. when you allow yourself to learn to do more with less, one of the side effects of then having to do less to get more will be this: your presence vibrating in love with abundance will trigger a love abundance reaction in others who also want to feel that way. And one of the ways they will then express that is by giving you things you could easily buy, but they will give them to you. And when that happens, because it will, then your response needs be the essence of grace, the essence of gratitude, the essence of humility. Go back into the understanding of doing more with less, knowing you don't need the more to do what you need to do, and in knowing that, thus creating the ability to doing less to get more. And in that state of gratitude and grace, somehow, some way, return the gesture and give to someone else. Allow yourself to increase someone else's abundance. It is always, no matter in what form it's expressed, it is always about being of service. When you fall into your excitement and stay in your honeymoon, you are in love. And you want to be, your heart wants to be in love with the world. Express that where you feel it is appropriate. I'm not saying you have to lose your head. You don't have to be unbalanced about this idea. But when you know, when your heart talks to you and you can hear it, you can feel it, then be of service. And believe me, one of the most fundamental principles, again, and you have heard it, but you'll hear it again. When you enrich others, you will be enriched. You will be enriched. You will be enriched. And now that you have begun to change your relationship to money, then part of your enrichment flow will contain lots more money, as well as other forms of enrichment and other forms of abundance. Remember, you are rich. The universe is abundant. You are abundant. What you're simply learning here, again, is to change your relationship to allow the abundance that is already available to you to fall like pennies from heaven, to shower you with riches, to let go of the conflicting conundrums of paradoxical definitions that don't work for you, that tear you apart. To unravel them, let them go. To see clearly that you are created, that you are a loving person, that you are a loved person, that you are a rich person, and that this can translate in physical terms and in monetary terms. There is no reason why it can't, and there is no reason why you can't, unless you give yourself a reason not to. It is in your hands. It is in your control. It is all around you. Opportunities are screaming at you all the time. But your state and disconnection from your heart creates a deaf ear to the ringing opportunities that you are presented with constantly, incessantly. There is no vacuum in creation. There is not a second that goes by when there isn't a sparkling, ringing opportunity for you to become, as you say, stinking, filthy rich. You can leave out the stinking part if you want. Though some people might like the smell of money. That will surround your aura and be your aura when you really, really, really let it in. Let's look at your idea of your monetary system. Now, when your money, your idea of money, your value for money, the value you have placed on your money, when the value of your money becomes less, you say your money is inflated. What kind of sense does that make? You say that something that gets bigger gets smaller. That something that gets smaller gets bigger. And when it all of a sudden has more value, you say it has deflated. Is it any wonder you are confused? No, not at all. Again, this may seem arbitrary, but stop and think about it. These are the kinds of signals that you have been giving yourselves and have been given to you for years concerning money. There is a very important thing to understand behind this. And that is, you need to look at money in exactly the opposite way you have been trained to look at money. In especially this case, the idea, first of all, of whatever this core value is that you have arbitrarily assigned to the idea of money, that you all agree is the worth of the money. But then once you have done that, you go throwing your own system out of whack, out of kilter, by labeling this value as fluctuating in such a manner that the label is exactly the opposite of what it is doing. I will tell you that in time, not right away, but in time, your planet's quote-unquote monetary system will actually finally be based, and this is what it is heading toward, be based on the skills and abilities people have to offer. And there will be not a government, but an organizational body that will put people together based on the skills they have to share with the people that need those skills. And synchronistically, everyone will find exactly who they need to provide what they need, and in turn will provide to others what they need based on who they are. But until that day, I understand that you want big fat wallets. And so let us proceed, because that is what this subject is about. So, with regard to this idea of inflation, deflation, let us look at the idea now in your minds. You can close your eyes, you can open your eyes, it doesn't matter. But if you will, see the idea of what you call one of your dollar bills, and see it getting bigger, inflating, 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 in the literal sense of the word, so that it is bigger, 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 bigger. And along with it, and congruently, it is more powerful. You have more spending power in that dollar because you're making it bigger. Bigger, 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 bigger. Now, stop it there at a certain size, whatever that size may be. Or if it's stopped by itself, that's fine. Now, let it shrink. Don't worry, it's all right. You can always inflate it again. There's more than enough air. Let it shrink. Down, 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 down. Tiny, tiny, tiny little itty-bitty piece of paper. So small, maybe it would just blow away in the wind like a speck. Little tiny dollar. No value, or almost no value at all. Can't even grab it, let alone spend it. Can't convince anyone it's $1 because it's so small you can't see it. Now, let it come back to what you consider it to be normal size. Now, look at it carefully. Don't adjust it. Did it come back slightly smaller than normal size and stop, or slightly bigger than normal size and then stop, or did it come back exactly the size you have always seen it? There are ways to tell. Allow yourself in your own mind to understand by taking a good look at it, by having in your imagination someone else walk in and put a dollar bill down next to it, as to whether it wound up a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller. This will tell you the beginnings of what value you consider money in general to have. Whether it is really worth more or worth less than what you call the going rate. And this keys strongly into your relationship to money and your relationship to yourself as to whether you believe you are more or less than the going rate. Whether you have the ability to be a commodity worth exchanging, or whether you fall a little short. Now understand, please, this is important. Nothing that we are saying here today is about becoming a materialistic, egocentric, money-grubbing person. We are not talking about the idea of forming a fixation on material goods, but it is all right for you to attract material comfort in your life. There is a balance. You all know that. I don't really have to say it, but it's too late. I already did. So relax and let go of any worries any of you might have had about the idea that, oh, we're focusing so strongly today on the idea of getting a lot of money, but I don't want to be seen as a money-grubbing miser. I don't want to be seen as someone who hoards their money. You really are, I will assume, simply looking for that primary balance point that allows you to feel the freedom you know you deserve to feel. Yes? 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 All right.
Running out of money.
Running out of money. Oh, all right. Are you saying that that's not an exciting thing? It could be. It could be the best thing that ever happened to you. How do you know?
That's a good point.
Thank you.
It could be.
You see, this goes back to what we say about your definitions, because we understand how things work on your world in general. But the idea is that many of you become way too focused on one particular way in which things work when there are other ways. And you're not allowing your definition to be broad enough to include the other ways. When you focus only on one symbol of abundance, such as money, not invalidating it, not discounting it at all, but it's only one symbol. There are other symbols of abundance, other symbols of support. But when you only focus on one as if that's the most important one, you are closing the doors through which other forms of support and abundance could come. Because you're saying you won't recognize them. If it's not this, I can't be supported. I don't understand how I could possibly be supported if it doesn't come in this form. That's a very limiting and restrictive belief system. But when you understand that abundance is simply one of the natural tools of excitement, and it will bring you whatever form of abundance and support you need to continue to act on your excitement, then you can relax your definition and open all the windows and doors and let abundance come in all its forms. Sometimes somebody may just give you something. That's a form of abundance, you know. Mm-hmm. Yes?
Yes.
Sometimes synchronicity will bring you information that you need at exactly the right time. That's a form of abundance, you know.
Yes.
So why not let more forms of abundance come into your life rather than worrying that you might lose one particular form?
That sounds like a good idea.
Why, thank you. The idea is that if money needs to be there, then The right amount of money will come, but it may not be sufficient to allow for the big picture, but the rest of the other forms of abundance will fill the other spaces. So that sometimes it may be, well, you just need this much money, and you need this much gift, and you need this much synchronicity, and all together, you've got your support. Mm-hmm. If it needs to be all money, that's what will come, because that will be the path of least resistance. But your first clue that it might not be the path of least resistance is it's not coming. That's your moment to look around and go, could there be other forms of abundance that I could allow in? That's where your imagination opens up. Because when you're on the level of the vibration of your passion, you will actually be capable of thinking, of imagining other things that might bring other forms of abundance in. But if you're only focused on one form, you are actually not only closing the door to other forms of abundance, you're closing the doors in your imagination to being even capable of imagining how other forms of abundance could come to you. So you will not even conceive of opportunities you could be acting on that could give you everything you need, because you will not allow them to be visible, because you're not in the correct frequency. Mm-hmm. You cannot perceive what you're not the vibration of first. This is just physics. Mm-hmm. You have to be that frequency first. And when you are, all sorts of things that are commensurate with that frequency will come to you. You'll think of things. Other people might call the things you imagine crazy, but that doesn't mean they won't work for you. They don't have to work for them. They just need to work for you. Mm-hmm. Is this making some sense?
Definitely.
Is this helping?
A lot.
All right.
How are you?
Perfect. And you? Good day.
Thank you very much. Bashar, thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate it.
Well, you have co-created it with us, so thank you.
Be honest with you, since I'm new to this, I don't know if I can wrap my head around the idea of talking to a society 500 years in the future, but this is...
Well, you don't need to wrap your head around that. It's the information that is important. It doesn't matter whether you believe we are who we say we are. It's simply a methodology of delivering information, and if the information is applied in your life, the proof of the pudding, as you say on Earth, is that the information will make the changes in your life that are important. It doesn't matter whether you believe the source of the information if the information works for you.
Oh, okay. Recently, I read a book on a lady's experience on a near-death experience.
Yes.
And he talked in depth about how she levitated over her bed with doctors trying to save her life. She experienced, she listened to conversations down the hall.
Yes.
And
these are all typical experiences in out-of-body near-death experiences.
Right. So what I was really perplexed by is the communication to a higher frequency she claimed that she had with her father that passed away 7 years before, and then also her friend 3 years after that.
Yes.
She said words can't describe how efficient the communication was. And I was just wondering if you can elaborate on how higher frequency works, and if that's the same type, is that the same communication you have with other sasanis?
Yes. The idea is that all information exists at the same time. Time is an illusion. So the idea is that when a concept is formed, all the information having to do with that concept is there all at once in a non-verbal way. The idea is that even going on in this channeling, in this transmission, when someone asks a question, all the information is there and it is delivered by us all at once. It simply takes time to unspool through the channel's brain and translate into the language that you understand, because I'm not speaking English. I'm simply sending telepathic thoughts, telepathic concepts that are whole unto themselves and contain every part of the issue all at once. Whatever then needs to be unspooled and translated into your language takes time. But the original communication is there instantaneously, all at the same time. That's how it happens in non-physical reality. There's no verbal communication. It's all about resonance. It's all about vibration and matching frequencies. When you're on a certain frequency level, you understand exactly the things that are commensurate with that frequency level. So it's about matching frequencies and receiving all the information at the same time that is germane to that particular frequency. Does that answer your question, or is there some specific thing you want to explore?
No, that
further?
does actually, because she was able to describe having listened to conversations down the hall, realizing her brother was traveling from a distance to come see her. So she was able to gather all this and realize everything all at the same time. So
yes, on that level, it's holistic and holographic.
Is there how can we emulate that more on Earth?
By following the formula and opening up to following your passion and being in a state of love all the time. Because when you are in a state of love, when you're following your passion and doing what you love to do, your frequency automatically raises. And when your frequency raises, it becomes a more sensitive receiver and an antenna to receive higher dimensional information.
That actually dovetails into my next question.
How synchronistic.
About death.
Yes.
Every person who claims to have a near-death experience, they all say the same thing about blissfulness and peacefulness and unconditional love. And and I just wonder what is this place? Is it a state, or is it a place, or how do we?
It's both. It's both.
Do we recreate that?
It's both. The idea is to understand that what you translate in your physical reality as the concept of unconditional love and bliss is actually the frequency of existence itself. So in that state, when you remove yourself from some of the limitations you impose upon your consciousness that have to do with limitations of space and time, you are more adept at perceiving directly the frequency of existence itself. And that is that unconditional support and love that you talk about from the physical perspective.
Okay. Now, regarding spirits, how are some spirits, do some spirits linger in this state?
Yes.
And why do some spirits choose to remain like on Earth? Recently,
they're not on Earth per se, but they're in what might be termed the lower astral realms that are close enough to the physical vibration that they might sometimes be perceived by those sensitive enough to see them. There are different layers of frequencies in the afterlife, so to speak. And those that may feel they have unfinished business may linger to deliver a message wherever they can. Those that feel they need to guide someone else who is having a difficult time may linger to be a spirit guide for them. And there are those that sometimes die based on their belief systems that feel like they don't even know that they're dead. So they may continue to act like they're trying to live their physical life and perhaps be confused about why certain people can't talk to them or see them anymore, but be lost in their confusion because of fear and negative belief systems that they harbored when they were alive that doesn't allow them to understand they can open up and go further into the spirit world. So there are many reasons, as there are individuals who may choose to remain close to the physical vibration of Earth.
Okay. Yeah, that explains a couple of the questions I had after. Now, is this self-selected, or is this self-selected by them to linger behind to finish?
Well, as I said, some of them select that consciously, and some of them may not know they have an option to move on. It depends on what belief systems you hold on to most strongly when you die. But eventually, people either in physical reality or in the spirit can be guides for them to remind them and let them go that they have crossed over, they are now no longer physical in the same way, and that they can move on to higher and higher levels if they so desire. So they will always have help, but also sometimes they may have to go through a particular process in the same way that people on Earth have to go through certain processes to make certain realizations. Just because you're in spirit doesn't necessarily mean you're finished with a particular process. However, the majority of people, especially in this day and age on your planet, are aware of such ideas and therefore are less likely to remain earthbound, as you say, because they know that they're starting to hear stories of near-death experiences, shared death experiences, and the bliss and peace and joy and love that goes with it. And that can actually color exactly what they're able to experience when they do die.
Wonderful. I recently had a friend that passed, and is there a way for me to raise my frequency to communicate with him?
I just told you, follow the formula, follow your passion, because it raises your frequency, and then synchronicity will take over. And you will know when you have received a communication. Now, for most people, it's a little easier to receive those communications when you're asleep in your dreams, because then your physical mind and all of its insistences are out of the way. But yes, by following your passion, you can allow the physical reality to become a little bit more lucid and allow more flexibility of communication with higher frequency dimensions like spirit. And synchronicity plays a big part in that. A lot of times a message delivered from spirit will not necessarily come with trumpets or voices or things like that. They will often use what's easiest and in front of your face already by simply making a very soft suggestion that today on your walk you will turn left instead of right, because they know that if you turn left instead of right, you may overhear a conversation that reminds you of them or see something that reminds you of them. And then you will know that that unusual synchronicity, that unusual choice to make a difference in your walking path is actually a message saying, hi, I'm here. And I just had to tell you, just had to urge you to go one way or the other to know that there's a message from me to you. That's more often than not how spirit will do it, because physical minds are so limited and so focused that it's easier to use what's already in front of your face to get the message through.
That's fantastic. One other thing is I recently heard an audio of this gentleman explaining, and he had a memory of his soul attached into a pre-fetus.
Yes.
And how he was scared and how he had to lower his frequency to get down to the fetus level.
Yes.
And how he rejected it the first 2 times and then it finally attached.
Yes.
Is that possible to have a pre-fetus memory?
You exist eternally. And therefore, from a linear perspective, there can be a before this life as well as an after this life, even though everything exists at the same time when you eliminate the concept of time in a timeless state. So yes, spirits can experience certain ideas previous to the idea of making the choice to have a physical experience, and that can be many different kinds of experiences.
Wow. The attachment process is interesting to me. Do the souls choose the fetus, or is the fetus choosing the soul, or is that selected by?
Well, in a sense, from your perspective, it would be more like the soul choosing the fetus. You choose everything. In a sense, the fetus also has a type of consciousness that does match the needs of the soul. So it's by an agreement. But the idea is that everything is a choice. Nothing is by accident, really. You choose your family, you choose in many ways the situations and circumstances that you believe in that life you need to learn what you are choosing to learn for your own soul's growth and continuation.
Wow. Thank you, Bashar. Appreciate it.
It is our passion and our pleasure, and we bid you good day.
Hello, Tadeo.
Nania.
We have lots of questions from our viewers.
All right.
The first question is, can you explain more about the mechanics of the heart chakra? To be more specific, how focusing on your heart chakra can be more beneficial than focusing on other chakras, and how the heart chakra relates to other chakras?
It is not more beneficial. It depends on what it is you wish to focus on. Obviously, the other chakra systems in your body are also essential. They are all interconnected. They all take their cues, in some sense, from the heart. As we said, the heart reflects the vibration of the higher mind, kind of like a drum. It repeats the vibration in physical terms, so the physical mind can receive it along the neurological pathways and through the blood. But then, of course, the physical mind may have belief system filters in place that will color or filter or change that vibration, feeding back to the heart the degree of alignment or the degree of misalignment from the original vibration that was sent from the higher mind to the heart. The heart then disperses that vibration to all the centers of the body, all the chakra points, all the cellular structures along the neurological network of the body, thus allowing the cells to know whether you are generally in alignment with your true self or out of alignment, and how far out of alignment you might be. This is what can cause the idea of disease in the body by the heart reflecting the degree of filtering or negativity in the belief system of the physical mind to the rest of the body. And in that sense, it is a great organizer for the body as to what is going on. It is a synchronizer of that vibration that comes from the higher mind to the heart, but then through the physical mind and its belief systems, and then to the body. This is how they generally are interrelated and interconnected. Essential in that sense, but not essential in that it is more important than any other chakra system in the body or chakra point. It again depends upon what you wish to focus on.
Okay, thank you. This question is, as a mother, I experience unconditional love with my daughter. As she crossed over, I feel so disconnected and lost. The pain has been overwhelming, and I do not understand why a mother has to go through this after experiencing blissful, unconditional love with a daughter. Why is this acceptable?
The idea is for those that are still physical, when close loved ones pass into spirit, to reach out to them and allow themselves to still know that bliss can be experienced rather than having a belief system that the person has been lost. This is part of the training that you have agreed to as part of the evolution of the human species on your planet at this time, to have made an agreement with someone beloved that would cross into spirit before you, so that you can practice knowing that you are still connected, can reach out to them and still feel them and still develop a communication with them. The idea of treating this as if you have lost something is what causes the pain. Allowing yourself to know that even sometimes by continuing to experience this or define it as a loss, allows you to experience communication from them as pain, as grief. If you would let go of the idea that they are lost or gone, that they are still very much present with you in a variety of ways, just on a different level, then you will honor the agreement you made with your daughter to allow her to stretch your consciousness into spirit so that you may experience the benefits of making those connections in your physical reality. This is a great favor and loving thing that she has done with you, to give you the chance, while still physical, to expand your awareness, expand your consciousness, and experience in your life the benefits of making a stronger connection consciously to the idea of her in the spirit realm.
Thank you. From an absolute standpoint, is my conscious experience absolutely all that there is without anything being outside of it? Or do others have their own conscious experience outside of my consciousness? Does oneness not invalidate any separation, like something being outside of my consciousness?
It depends on the level that you're looking from. In other words, you can have an experience of separation, which is what you have in physical reality. That doesn't mean you actually are literally separated. Again, the paradox is that you are using your connection to create an experience of separation. You couldn't have an experience of individual separation if you actually weren't connected to all that is. So in that ultimate sense, from that perspective, no, there is no outside. But from the experience of individuation, from the experience of creating the illusion of separation, then yes, you can have an outside, and there are many beings you may be unaware of that are having their own experiences. Your experiential reality only contains your versions of other beings. They exist in their own right, in a sense, outside of you, and there may be millions of them that you do not experience because there is no reason for you to create a version of those beings in your reality experience. At the same time, this is all happening within the all that is, that has no outside. But you have to understand that you cannot necessarily mix your language that way. You can't mix your definitions that way in a coherent sense. You have to understand what level that you're talking from. When you say, is there really an outside? If everything is one, there shouldn't be an outside. Well, yes, on that level, that's true. But you're talking from the experience of having created the illusion of separation, which creates the illusion of an outside and many beings that you may not be aware of outside of yourself.
Amazing. What happens to those people that have heart transplants or artificial hearts in relation to the multi-level aspects of, your native heart when you have a normal heart?
Well, again, as many people on your planet have experienced, you may start picking up on some of the vibrations that were connected to the heart of the other individual and take on some of those qualities. In a sense, it is a way of making a stronger connection to another individual by actually having their physical heart in your body. It's one way to understand the connection that exists through vibration between all of you, whether you have a heart transplant or not. But nevertheless, you can start exhibiting, as many of you know, some of the traits and qualities of the other person whose heart has been donated to you. So, the artificial heart, in that sense, may connect you to a different level of consciousness that might be closer to the concept of artificial intelligence. So it depends upon the reasons why you have chosen to have that experience, what it is you have agreed to connect to, how it is you will utilize that connection, whatever it is, in your particular reality application to move forward in your life, and what lessons you can learn from the connections you have made to something that you consider to be other than yourself.
About a couple of months ago, my son asked me to tell him a story, and he had a new book from the library, and I went in to read him this book, and it was Rumpelstiltskin.
Yes.
And when I heard the word Rumpelstiltskin, it brought me right back to my childhood. I hadn't heard that word in 30-something years. And
so you did not catch our transmission where we talked about the idea of what that fairy tale actually represents recently?
I did. Yeah.
Right.
It was after the fact. So so I started reading the book to him, and it brought me right back to my childhood when I was an infant, and I was going through the trauma of the death of my mother at the time.
All right.
And my son was asking me, he's like, what is this about? Like, why on earth would the miller sell his daughter? And why would she say that the newborn, her firstborn, Rumpelstiltskin could take him? And I was baffled as I was reading it, and I was thinking, I don't know. But I was also having my own experience of my memory of Rumpelstiltskin for the first time.
Yeah.
Listening to it on a tape in the dark on my own. And my son was having the same experience that I had as a kid.
Yes.
I couldn't give him any answers. And
you couldn't? One moment. You couldn't? Did you say you did or didn't hear our transmission?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I did afterwards. So
after you read the book.
So about a week later, Rumpelstiltskin came up again, and my son was asking me the same question. I said, I really don't know. And then I looked at my phone, and there was a message from the Bashar team saying that you're going to describe what Rumpelstiltskin is all about next week.
All right. Well, how synchronous of you.
So completely. So the next week, of course, I tuned in, and you described how Rumpelstiltskin represents the negative belief. So in that moment, I realized that, Jesus, like Rumpelstiltskin, like what is the negative belief that I could have bought into at the time? And I did my own investigation, and it turned out that the belief that I bought into was that I can't do it on my own.
All right.
The belief that I uncovered, and it was just such a magical, synchronous way for it all to unfold. Bizarre.
Yes.
So,
but do remember that the idea of the story of Rumpelstiltskin actually transforms negativity into positivity.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah, like what I realized when I uncovered that belief was that I have been doing it on my own, and we're all doing it on our own. And even if I'm creating the experience of not being able to do it on my own, I'm doing that on my own. So
You are, and even if you attract the idea of help, you're doing that on your own too.
Yeah, exactly. So
All right.
one thing I wanted to ask you about, Bashar, was breathing.
Yes.
It's something that has synchronistically been coming up on my radar a lot in recent years, and especially in recent months. And I've been reading a lot about the various modalities of breathing, and I've been experimenting on my own with holotropic breathing and
All right.
all the types.
Yes.
And I was just wondering, from your perspective, is there like a golden breath? Is there a kind of a ratio, a rate at which we should be breathing to optimize? I mean, on a everyday, regular basis.
Well, it will be slightly different for different people, but in general, if you're operating at a higher frequency, you will probably take deeper breaths in a sort of yogic fashion less often, but the breaths will be deeper and will oxygenate your system to be able to handle the higher frequency energies that you may be beginning to deal with. It is similar to what you experience from the channel's body when we are coming through, where you will hear it takes place in a slightly different part of the body than normal breathing. It shifts to the back of the throat and it utilizes the resonant cavities of the sinuses and the lungs in a different way to make sure that while it may be an intake less often, it will be an intake that will allow for the appropriate amount of oxygenation to support the body in handling higher frequencies. So it's sort of a form of what you call yogic breathing, but it can become a very natural pace when your frequency rises. It may be a natural response to it.
Okay. And would it be true if that breath, if I was to, I guess, master or to inhabit that breath as a daily experience, is it like, can that rid your body of toxicity?
It can help. It can help. But again, it depends on the belief systems of the individual, what might be the path of least resistance for you. You may also find yourself being attracted to any other ideas that may help purge the toxins from your system, such as herbal formulations and such. But again, as long as you are in alignment as best as you can be with your true frequency, synchronicity will bring to your attention the opportunities that will work for you. It might be a combination of things.
Yeah, of course. Okay. Yeah. So I guess over the last couple of years, I've become quite fluent with the information that you've been conveying, and it's allowed myself and my family, through the communication of this information, to really step into a very magical orchestration of telepathic synchronicity and just hilarious unfoldings. And we experience this on a daily basis in an intertwined kind of fashion, just really,
Exactly. That's how it works.
Yeah. And it's really magical. And,
well, it's really just physics, but I understand what you mean.
And if I step out of it, which I do sometimes, I never step into really the negative, like I always have the tools there basically to jump back in. But there's one thing, Bashar, that I seem to be going in circles with, and
that would be what?
It's it's been with me for now 30 years, and it's issues with my skin. And despite my best efforts with detoxification, with different diets, with this information, with understanding that my skin has brought me on this journey, and I couldn't have learned what I had learned without this issue kind of driving me on this path. It seems to be getting worse and worse, despite my openness, despite my my new sense of being, my new sense of fluency.
All right. Well, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Why should it change?
Yeah.
Can you continue on your spiritual path even if it continues with you, this particular experience with your skin? Is it actually stopping you from doing anything that you really need to do?
No, I'm stopping. I've been here with this question before.
All right. Can you imagine continuing to expand even if that particular physical effect continues to be chosen by you? There's a series of questions here we're asking, so just answer each one in turn. Can you imagine continuing to expand your consciousness and the synchronicity and the joy in your life even if that condition continues?
No. No.
Why not?
Um,
Where do you think it's going to go? What do you think it's going to do to stop you? Has it stopped you so far?
yes.
How has it stopped you? You just described the idea that your life every day is a joyous intertwining experience of synchronicity and magic. So how has it stopped you so far?
It's mostly a synchronistic magical orchestration, but it's because I'm become my relationship to food and to everything that I do becomes so has become so negative, because I don't know, I'm trying my best to be open to the best thing, but it just doesn't seem to.
What if this is the best thing for you, whether you know it or not?
Yeah, I guess.
What if it is?
Yeah.
Well, answer the question. What if it is? Will you be okay with it if you actually know that it is the best thing for you? Why must it change?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you're right.
When you let go of the need for it to change, it will probably change. But up to this point, you've been using it to drive yourself in the direction that you prefer. Do you still have a belief that you need it to drive you further? The paradox may be that you think it's holding you back, but in fact, you may be using it to drive you forward. And you may have a belief that says that you need it to drive you forward, because without it, I know you examine the idea of what would necessarily have been different had you not had it, but think about it more deeply. Would you have driven yourself had you not had it to the same degree?
That's interesting. It kind of ties in with that belief that I can't do it on my own. It feels like the same.
Yes.
Thing.
So this condition may have been helping you in some ways to drive you forward, to seek what you need, to push yourself, to find answers to things that you believe will make things better in your life. So this may be one thing you think you can't let go of, because you may have a belief that without it, you won't continue to pursue the idea of being yourself as strongly as you have in the past by being driven to find a way to let go of it.
Yeah, of course.
You see the paradox?
Yeah.
So you need to sort of relax into the idea that it's okay to have it because you've been using it to your advantage. But by relaxing into the idea that you've been using it in that way, you can then allow yourself to gently shift into the understanding that you have the ability to make an agreement with yourself that you don't necessarily need it, because you don't have to be afraid that without it, you won't have the same push or drive to continue to expand and explore. If you know that you're willing to have the same drive, then it's possible that it may alleviate. But if you really are holding on to it because it's what's been serving you and pushing you in that direction, and you are afraid that letting it go will temper your drive and you won't expand as fast, then you're going to hold on to it as long as you possibly can.
Brilliant. That's perfect. Yeah, I get it. Lovely. Okay, thanks. Okay,
right.
The crystal skulls, you did a crystal skull transmission about a year ago.
Yes, we know.
You said the word Asha Kukumats. Is that right? Asha.
Yes, well, Kukumats. Kukumats is the name of one of the skulls. Asha is a phrase in our language, which means within.
Okay, okay. And are there any of those in Ireland? Is Ireland a place that, one of those would?
It does have one of the 13 skulls, yes.
Wow.
I'm not about to tell you where.
Sure. Thank you, Bashar.
Thank you. It is again our passion and our pleasure. Good day.
Thank you. See you.
Oh, hello. So nice to connect with you this day, Bashar. I'm so excited to ask you my question. Since I'm a rap artist, I decided to make mine rhyme. I felt that would be more natural. So my one question to you is, with all the stuff in the world that we're dealing, and these black lives that these officers keep stealing, I have a feeling that we're way past the kneeling. How do we as a nation achieve a state of healing? Would love to get your thoughts on that. Thank you so much, Bashar. Shavai.
You have to validate yourselves. You have to validate the differences between you. You have to operate from compassion and support and love. You have to understand that you are powerful as you need to be to attract what you need without hurting yourselves or anyone else in life in order to attract it. You have to trust the way things unfold. You have to know your connections to the infinite and express them by following your passion and being yourself and fulfilling your purpose in life and allowing others to do so as well.
Hello.
And to you, good day.
How are you, Bashar?
Perfect, and you?
I'm just great, thanks.
All right. What would you like to discuss this day?
I want to talk about the idea of karma and timing.
Yes.
And in following your discussion and teachings, I understand there's a natural timing for things.
Yes.
Now, with the idea that everything exists here and now,
Yes.
what's the correlation? Like, for instance, I want to heal my eyesight, or I would prefer to have perfect vision without the need of glasses. I know that's possible. I also know it's probable.
Yes.
However, I feel like maybe in 3 to 6 months I would have that.
Maybe.
Is it possible to have it sooner, or
Maybe.
Okay.
It depends on its relevance, depends on why this is important to you, depends on reasons for making these kinds of choices, depends on the themes you're exploring in this life, depends on many different factors. So maybe.
So does that apply to every preference, that it's a maybe?
Yes, to different degrees of probability. Some things can be highly probable. Some probabilities can be much lower. Again, this is why it's important to understand the reasons why you are exploring what you're exploring or what it is you desire. Making sure that you are not countermanding something that you chose to explore for your own reasons that you may not be paying attention to. So the idea is not that these things can't occur, but you have to explore with honest self-investigation and transparency why what is happening to begin with, and the reasons you have for desiring the change, and what that would really mean.
Is that, when you talk about what it really means, is that more of an energetic frequency, meaning if I have a strong desire for something, that has a higher probability than something else?
No, not necessarily. What we're talking about is the frequency of the belief that you have about why it's there to begin with, how it serves you having had it, what you have learned otherwise that you may not have learned having not had it, and coming to terms with how it has served you so you can really have clarity about whether it's still serving you or whether it's something that can change.
Okay. And obviously, one of the critical steps to that would be to observe it for having a positive purpose, whether I have it in my life or not.
Yes. Most people who are dealing with things that have to do with eyesight, then you are dealing with beliefs that have to do with either your visions, your ideas about whether or not you are looking outward or inward. Also issues of how you see yourself. Many different kinds of belief system issues can revolve around the symbols of the eyes. So you have to have your own honest self-investigation on all these levels to understand why this experience has been created, how it can serve you to have had the experience, and whether or not you still feel you need it, or whether it still serves you in your mind, or whether it is something that you no longer need if you're willing to continue learning what you need to learn without it. Now, these are oversimplifications, but you're beginning to get the idea.
Absolutely. And is every, I'll just say physical ailment, is every physical ailment symbolic of something deeper in the sense of vision being a lack of inner vision or outer vision or something of that effect?
Yes, because the idea really, as it translates in your language, is that these things are dis-eases. You are diseased about yourself in some way, shape, or form. Now, it doesn't mean that these things are always chosen for negative reasons. Sometimes they can be chosen for very positive reasons that may have to do not only with you, but with other people's interactions with you and what someone else may need to learn by you having this particular condition or a particular condition, whether it's this one or not. So you have to look for the reasons why this may be serving a bigger scope than just yourself.
That makes a lot of sense. And does karma play a factor in the themes that I would be experiencing in my life?
Yes and no. Karma is very simply, from our perspective, the idea that you recognize you may be making choices that take you out of balance, out of alignment with your true self and who you prefer to be. But the idea, therefore, of recognizing that, learning that lesson, and making choices that would help bring you back into alignment and balance with yourself is the immediate erasure of the karma.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. So is it possible to be entirely in balance and still have some form of physical ailment?
Yes, because again, it depends on the reason it's there.
Right. And would that also apply to the amount of money that someone has? They could be perfectly in balance, but maybe not have the amount of money they would prefer to have?
Well, again, if that is a statement that indicates a exclusive focus on one particular expression of abundance at the exclusion of all the other expressions of abundance, then that is a very narrow vision. Because there are many forms of abundance. And that can also be something that the eyes express, that you're looking too narrowly at something instead of expanding your vision to include more things that could be assisting you in allowing you to do what you need to do when you need to do it, which is our definition of abundance. We understand that money on your planet is one symbol of abundance, but many people have been taught to focus on that to the exclusion of all the other forms, and that creates a narrow vision. Being given a gift is a form of abundance. Having something to trade is a form of abundance. Synchronicity is a form of abundance. Imagination is a form of abundance. Communication is a form of abundance. And there are other forms. But when all of these forms are allowed to be equal and valid to one another, not just money, then the different forms can come in when you need them to varying degrees, to varying percentages, to form the 100% abundance that is required for you to do what you need to do when you need to do it in pursuing your passion. Sometimes it may only require a little bit of money, and then something may come along synchronistically that gives you something else you need. And then you may find that someone gives you a gift that completes the idea of the 100% abundance you needed to have the ability to do what you needed to do. So by focusing only on one thing as being the only thing that could possibly be valid, that can be an expression of narrow or limited vision.
Makes a lot of sense. And so if someone's living completely in balance, would they necessarily have preferences that are outside of what they're currently experiencing?
Not really, except the general preference to know that they will always have what they need. Because it's really not so much about what you want, it's about what you need that will fulfill you.
That's fascinating. And is the highest level of need just to know that you have everything you need to have when you need to have it?
Yes. It's acting on your passion, being yourself as fully as you can be, having no insistence on a particular outcome because you don't really know. in your physical mind what the best possible outcome actually would look like, and remaining in a positive state no matter what happens so that you can always use it to your benefit. That's all it takes. And knowing that everything unfolds automatically from there in perfect timing. That's it.
Is the 7-sequenced master permission slip that you gave a training on years ago, is that a way to kind of ascend into that knowing that we always have what we need?
It is a way, but it's not the only way. That's why we call them permission slips. All tools, all techniques, all rituals, all objects are permission slips in your reality. So whatever you are attracted to use, the attraction tells you the attraction is there because it aligns with your belief system and will work for you. If you're not attracted to it, it won't work. The idea being that you are using this object, ritual, tool, technique, what have you, to give yourself permission to be more of yourself. But you're the ultimate permission slip. You're the one doing it. The ritual and the tool and the technique, the object isn't doing it for you. You just believe that it is.
Right, because I notice a distinction where there's tools that are working for others, and
Yes.
therefore I want to invest in those, but then I realize they don't actually work for me.
Yes. The ones you are attracted to, the ones that are presented to you through synchronicity, that are obvious in that sense, are the ones at that moment that will work for you. But remember, when you change, you're a different frequency, and so you may need a different permission slip if you need one at all. This is a dynamically changing experience and process, not a static one that remains necessarily for the rest of your life, that you would simply use the same tool over and 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 over again because you're changing.
Yeah. And I liked how you said about it being obvious. So at this level of being in balance 24/7, supposedly, or presumably, does that mean every next step would be obvious?
Yes. Because as we say, all you really have to do is look for the things, opportunities, activities, choices. Look for the ones you have the greatest ability to take action on that contain even the slightest bit more excitement than any other choice. And act on it first. It's very simple. Very simple. And if 2 or more things seem equally exciting, and they actually all have the same ability to be acted upon, then it doesn't really matter which one you choose, because if it's not the one that is actually your path of least resistance at that moment, synchronicity as the organizing principle will automatically turn you back around to the one that is. It's a self-guiding principle. You can't go astray if you pay attention to the signs. It's that simple.
So there's really no such thing as a mistake then?
Not really. If you're willing to learn from it, I suppose you could say paradoxically that the mistake is not being willing to learn from the experience. But by itself, the experience is not a mistake. It's something that puts you in touch in a way that helps you clarify what is true for you and what is not.
So, for example, like in my industry of marketing and sales,
Yes.
there's a lot of fear of missing out. That's a big tool that's used to influence people. But it sounds like that's not a true thing.
Well, it's a true thing in the sense of creating a reality that people can experience as if it's true. But while the experience may be real, the fundamental concept doesn't really have to exist on its own. It's an illusion. The fear of missing out is what makes you miss out. Otherwise, you know that as you go, if you're truly acting on your passion, if you're paying attention to the negative and fear-based beliefs within you and learning to let them go because they don't serve you, then it's not really possible for you to miss anything that is truly relevant for you in life. This is just physics. This is not a philosophy. This is how it works. This is how the machine operates. You can only, quote unquote, miss things if you spend your time worrying that you will miss things, because that's the experience you're creating. So why focus on that if that's not what you prefer? Don't look where you don't want to go. Otherwise, you'll go there.
So is it fair to say that everything's perfect just as it is?
It is, But perfect doesn't necessarily mean it can't change or improve or expand or grow. But whatever it is absolutely a perfect version of that thing at that moment. Whatever it is, it's a perfect version of that thing in that state. But again, that doesn't mean you won't stop growing or changing. It has nothing to do with anything. When you talk about the idea of perfection, it doesn't mean there's an end to something. It always, always, always changes and grows. It never ends. So perfection is simply what it is, the acceptance of what it is in the moment for what it is. And that's what allows you to step to the next stepping stone, because you have perfectly validated the stone you're on. If you don't validate the stepping stone you're on, you have no place to step from to the next stone.
Right. That's
Makes
powerful.
sense? Yes. Does this serve you?
It really does. And final point on that is,
Yes.
if everything is perfect as it is in the moment, and that it's going to naturally grow and change, then there's really no necessity for us to force it to change in any degree.
You can't. There's no ability to force it to change.
Right.
Force actually prevents it from changing. Force solidifies, rigidizes it.
Wow.
Allowance allows it to change. Every single being has their own flow, their own current in the ocean of creation. All you have to do is go with your flow. Your flow knows where you need to go. Surrendering is not giving up control. Surrender is surrendering to the control that's already built into your flow. Don't resist. Resistance causes pain.
Right. And is that the essence of giving control to the greatest power, meaning
In
that
a sense.
it's the gentlest touch?
Yes, in a sense. Does this help?
Very helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
Bye for now.
I've just been having a great time, and I
right,
almost
thank
feel like
you.
I've been having too much fun.
Too
I feel like
much?
I feel like I have responsibilities to go back to.
Well,
back
wait a
to our
minute.
fun.
You're suggesting that responsibilities aren't fun. What's
No,
that definition about?
yeah.
Well, why do you have that definition? Since when
it's-
are responsibilities not fun?
it's a different type of fun.
Yes, it is.
I'd just be doing different things, but still having fun.
All right.
Yeah,
Remember, responsibility is simply the ability to respond.
right.
That's all.
Right. I guess with the fun I've been having,
Yes.
and just I feel like I have a pretty innate sense to connect with people.
Yes.
Sometimes at a very deep level, it happens. Sometimes it can happen pretty fast.
All right. And so,
And I enjoy that.
Yes.
I also do acro yoga, which is a form of acrobatics mixed with yoga.
all right.
It's a very physical, intimate.
And is that fun?
Oh, I love it.
Oh,
Yeah,
all right.
absolutely.
Thank
So
you.
I'm trying to tie some of these
I
things
beg
that
your pardon.
I'm trying
I
to.
beg your pardon.
I'm wanting to.
You are tying things together?
I'm tying things together. Exactly.
you.
And it feels really good. So with these things that I'm enjoying in my natural innate senses, I'm wanting to derive an idea of how that could equate to an overall purpose, because I do feel like I have.
Do you understand what your purpose is in life? To be you as fully as you can. That's your
Right.
purpose. That's it.
Right.
So is that enough of an umbrella to tie them together? Do you need another way of expressing the concept of purpose other than to be yourself as fully as you can? To be your true self? Is that enough of a purpose for you? I'm not saying you can't have different expressions
Right.
of your purpose, but those are expressions of your purpose.
Right.
But your purpose is to be you as fully as you can. And the way you do that the best, I think you all know by now, acting on your highest excitement to the best of your ability with zero insistence on a particular outcome. That's how you allow yourself to fulfill your purpose of being you as fully as you can. Because you see, that's the whole point, is to allow creation to experience itself through you.
Right.
You understand? Now, attempting to not be yourself is still an experience that creation will value and appreciate and be able to use. Nevertheless, you are given the opportunity to simply be who you truly are
and allow creation to experience itself through your eyes. So be yourself if you wish to be. Creation will be very happy with that.
Right. I guess I have a sense that it's
Yes.
bigger than just
Bigger than being yourself?
Yeah.
There is nothing bigger. Because yourself is greater than you know. It's just that most of yourself is invisible right now to you because of your focus in physical reality. That's all. But it is bigger.
Right.
Being yourself is bigger. And when you are more of yourself on this level, you will know more of yourself on all the other levels.
Right.
So you will see that it is bigger, and therefore,
so by participating fully in who I am and what I'm about,
to the best that you can on this level,
right, and I actually derive more of who I am,
yes,
continuously,
yes,
constant,
and that will never end.
It'll never end.
Ever.
Okay.
Ever. Because even when you perceive yourself from the level of all that is knows there's another all that is that it is a part of. Wow. It never ends.
Right.
Does this help?
Yeah. Okay. So I've been in LA, in the LA area for about a little over 2 weeks now.
Oh, all right.
And I think within the first couple of days, I had this experience with this really weird, what do you want to call it?
I don't know. What do you want to call it? And was it weirder than the experience you're having right now?
Wow. Yeah. You're pretty weird. So
Thank
that'd
you.
be a tough one. But it was like this hemp oil, and
Yes.
apparently you're supposed to take like a drop,
And you took,
like a half of a syringe,
oh, all right. And
it was easily the scariest and also the most.
you said you liked roller coasters.
I know. Wow.
Well,
It was a little
what did you
different.
learn from the teacher? What did you learn from that teacher?
Yeah.
What did you learn?
I learned that
What did you learn about yourself?
I learned that I'm pretty amazing.
And
And
did you
that,
say you had some fears?
yeah.
And so you learned that, and what were they?
So I was afraid to like get onto an elevator and then go upstairs and get off the elevator.
Because?
I didn't want to be up high.
But you were. Very high.
Right. Maybe I didn't want to go higher.
All right.
I don't know.
That's all right. That's
yeah.
all right. What you taught yourself is that there is a pace to this.
Right.
And to allow yourself to live in the moment with it, not be impatient that you need to hurry up and be somewhere else.
Right.
Somewhere bigger than you are right now because you're already big. You just need to become more aware of the bigness. So the idea is just be where you are and live in the moment, and all the bigness will be revealed to you in perfect timing.
Right.
It won't come faster than you can handle.
Right.
And if you live in the moment, it won't come slower than you need it to.
Right.
Yes.
And that kind of dovetails into, I thought those were two separate questions. Wow, that was crazy.
Yes.
One of the cool things that happened, I'm so glad. Okay, first, Josh totally gave me his ticket, so that was amazing. Thank you. That was a great manifestation.
Thank you, Josh.
I love you, man. So while it was happening, like it was like everything was slowed down.
Yes.
And so like my hands, the fact that they were even like moving in time and space was like,
yes,
whoa.
everything appeared to be slowed down because you were speeding up and matching the frequency of the reality. It's like having what you call a strobe light.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. That's exactly what
If
it
you
was
match the frequency, it looks like things are standing still or
Right.
slowing down. So that means you're speeding up to match the frequency of the tick of the clock of your reality.
Right. And so
yes,
my hands, like it was like I could understand the physics of why they would run into each other and then they would bounce off.
Yes.
But they would maintain perfect proximity with where they last. I mean, they just like were on this almost like they were tied to a string, and they were
Well, they
moving
sort of are.
perfectly. Yeah. Oh,
The string of your consciousness. Because remember, the personality is a projection.
right.
You're channeling your personality
Right.
all the time. So you became aware of the fact that there are, for lack of a better term, energetic threads leading back to more of yourself that is projecting the personality.
Right. So it actually felt like I was driving my physical body.
Yes, you are.
It was like I was looking through my eyeballs.
I know what you're saying.
Okay. Just checking. Just making sure.
All right. Thank you for sharing your experience.
Absolutely. Thank
Please
you for
take it and
elaborating.
use it in your life in whatever way is representative of your highest excitement.
I will do.
All right. Well,
Thank you for this time.
You are welcome.
All right.